Bob Proctor stood before thousands of people and made a declaration that would challenge everything they believed about money, success, and their own potential. He told them they were born rich, not in terms of bank accounts or material possessions, but in something far more valuable. Most people in that audience had spent their entire lives believing they were destined for mediocrity, accepting limitations as facts rather than choices. But Proctor knew better. He had discovered a truth that transformed his own life from broke and struggling to abundantly successful, and he dedicated decades to sharing this revelation with the world. The concept sounds almost too simple to be true. Human beings arrive on this planet with infinite potential, unlimited creative capacity, and access to abundance beyond measure. Yet somewhere between childhood wonder and adult responsibility, most people lose sight of this birthright. They adopt limiting beliefs, accept scarcity as reality, and resign themselves to lives far smaller than what they're truly capable of achieving. Proctor witnessed this tragedy repeatedly and made it his mission to wake people up to the wealth of possibility that already exists within them. What makes Proctor's message so powerful is that it isn't based on wishful thinking or empty motivation. He studied the principles of success for over 50 years, learning from mentors like Earl Nightingale and Napoleon Hill. He tested these ideas in his own life, transforming himself from a man earning $4,000 a year to someone who built multiple successful companies and impacted millions of lives worldwide. The philosophy behind "You Were Born Rich" challenges conventional wisdom about wealth creation. It suggests that prosperity isn't something to chase or acquire from outside sources, but rather something to recognize and claim from within. This paradigm shifts from seeking to realizing, from lacking to possessing, represents the fundamental difference between those who struggle financially and those who thrive. Understanding this principle doesn't just change bank account balances, it transforms how people see themselves, their capabilities, and their relationship with the universe. When someone truly grasps that they were born rich, they begin operating from a completely different frequency, one that naturally attracts opportunities, resources, and success. This is the journey Proctor invites every person to undertake, and it begins with a single, powerful realization. Bob Proctor's teachings on abundance stem from a profound understanding that most people have about wealth completely backwards. They believe money and success are scarce resources that must be fought over, competed for, and hoarded once obtained. This scarcity mentality creates the very lack people fear most. Proctor discovered that abundance operates according to entirely different principles that anyone can learn and apply, regardless of their current circumstances. The phrase "you were born rich" isn't meant to suggest that everyone arrives with trust funds or inheritances. Instead, it points to an often overlooked truth. Every human being possesses mental faculties that, when properly understood and directed, can create whatever they desire. These faculties, imagination, intuition, will, perception, memory, and reason, represent wealth beyond measure. They're the tools through which all material wealth originates, yet most people never learn how to use them effectively. Proctor often shared his own transformation story as evidence of these principles. He was a high school dropout, working in fire departments, earning minimal income, and seeing no path to a better life. Then he encountered a book that changed everything. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This introduction to success philosophy sparked a journey that would eventually make him one of the world's foremost experts on human potential and prosperity consciousness. What Proctor learned through his studies and experiences is that wealth consciousness comes before material wealth. A person cannot create lasting prosperity while maintaining a poverty mindset. The internal must shift before the external can change. This represents a complete reversal of how most people approach improvement. They want to see changes in their circumstances before they'll change their thinking. But universal laws work in the opposite direction. Throughout his career, Proctor emphasized that these aren't New Age concepts or unproven theories. They're laws as reliable as the law of gravity. When properly understood and applied, they produce results with mathematical precision. The reason most people don't experience this reliability is that they've never been taught how the laws work. They're operating in ignorance of the very principles that govern success and prosperity. The "You Were Born Rich" philosophy provides a framework for understanding these laws and applying them systematically. It offers not just inspiration, but practical instruction on shifting consciousness, aligning with abundance, and creating wealth from the inside out. This teaching has the power to completely transform how someone experiences life, moving them from limitation to limitless possibility. The journey begins with opening one's mind to a radical new understanding of what it means to be human and what each person is truly capable of achieving. Bob Proctor identified paradigms as the invisible barriers that keep people locked in patterns of limitation. A paradigm is essentially a mental program, a set of beliefs and habits formed through repetition and conditioning. These programs run automatically in the subconscious mind, controlling behavior without conscious awareness. Most people are completely unaware they're living according to paradigms established in childhood, many of which directly contradict their conscious goals and desires. Understanding paradigms represents the first critical step toward transformation. A person might consciously want wealth, while their paradigm insists they're not worthy of it, that money is evil, or that rich people are greedy. This internal conflict creates self-sabotage. No matter how hard someone works or how many opportunities appear, their paradigm will find ways to maintain familiar patterns of lack. The conscious mind sets goals, while the paradigm ensures those goals remain unachieved. Proctor taught that recognizing these patterns is empowering rather than discouraging. Once someone understands they're operating according to outdated programming, they can begin the process of change. The paradigm isn't an enemy to defeat, but rather an outdated system to replace. This reframing removes judgment and self-criticism, replacing it with curiosity and determination to install new programs that support desired outcomes. The challenge lies in the fact that paradigms exist in the subconscious mind, which cannot be accessed through logic or willpower alone. A person cannot simply decide to think differently and expect their paradigm to change. The subconscious mind accepts information through repetition and emotional intensity. This is why affirmations without feeling produce minimal results, and why traumatic experiences create instant paradigm shifts. The emotional component imprints the lesson immediately and deeply. Proctor emphasized that changing paradigms requires consistent, deliberate effort. It means repeatedly exposing oneself to new ideas until they become familiar, comfortable, and eventually automatic. It means visualizing desired outcomes with emotional engagement until the subconscious mind accepts them as real. It means acting as if the new paradigm is already true, even when external circumstances haven't yet reflected the change. Many people give up during this process because they expect immediate results. They read a book, attend a seminar, or practiced visualization for a week, and then abandon the effort when their bank account hasn't changed. Proctor compared this to planting a seed and digging it up daily to check for growth. The transformation is happening beneath the surface, long before evidence appears in material reality. The poverty paradigm specifically contains beliefs about scarcity, competition, and the difficulty of earning money. It sees wealth as finite and therefore assumes that one person's gain represents another's loss. This zero-sum thinking creates guilt around success and fear around asking for what one deserves. It programs people to settle for less, to avoid standing out, and to remain safely within the boundaries of mediocrity. Replacing this with a wealth paradigm means adopting beliefs of abundance, collaboration, and ease. It means understanding that wealth can be created rather than just redistributed. It means recognizing that value exchange is natural, and that receiving payment for providing value is completely aligned with universal principles. This paradigm sees opportunities everywhere because it's programmed to look for them rather than obstacles. Proctor insisted that everyone already has everything they need to shift their paradigm. The faculties exist. They simply need to be directed consciously. The imagination can create new visions of possibility. The will can maintain focus on those visions. Reason can identify limiting beliefs and replace them with empowering alternatives. The tools for transformation exist within every person, waiting to be utilized. The paradigm shift isn't a one-time event, but an ongoing practice. Even after achieving success, old patterns can resurface during stress or uncertainty. Maintaining a wealth consciousness requires continued study, visualization, and alignment with abundance principles. This isn't a burden, but rather an investment in sustained prosperity. Those who understand this commitment and embrace it discover that the effort becomes increasingly natural and enjoyable as the new paradigm takes hold. Bob Proctor devoted significant teaching to explaining the law of vibration, which he considered fundamental to understanding prosperity. Everything in the universe vibrates. Nothing is truly solid or static. Modern physics confirms this ancient wisdom. Matter is energy vibrating at different frequencies. This isn't mystical speculation, but scientific fact. Understanding this principle opens the door to comprehending how thoughts become things and how consciousness creates reality. Human beings are essentially vibrational beings. Thoughts create vibrations in the mind and body. These vibrations attract matching frequencies from the universe, bringing corresponding circumstances and opportunities into one's life. This is the mechanism behind what many call the law of attraction. Though Proctor emphasized that attraction is the secondary, low vibration comes first. Without understanding vibration, attempts to manifest desires often fail. The key insight is that thoughts generate feelings, and feelings are vibrations moving through the body. These vibrations transmit into the universe like radio signals broadcasting a particular frequency. The universe responds by sending back experiences that match that frequency. Someone vibrating at the frequency of lack, unworthiness, or fear will attract circumstances that reinforce those states. Someone vibrating at frequencies of abundance, worthiness, and confidence attracts corresponding opportunities. Proctor taught that most people are completely unconscious of their vibration. They wonder why they keep experiencing the same problems repeatedly without recognizing they're broadcasting the same signal day after day. Their thoughts run on autopilot, creating habitual emotional states that become their dominant vibration. Breaking free requires becoming aware of thought patterns and deliberately choosing thoughts that generate desired emotional frequencies. This is where the relationship between paradigm and vibration becomes clear. The paradigm creates automatic thought patterns, which generate habitual feelings, which establish a dominant vibration. Changing the paradigm changes the thought patterns, which shifts the feelings, which alters the vibration, which transforms what gets attracted into one's experience. The process is sequential and lawful. Many people attempt to change their circumstances through action alone, working harder and longer without addressing their vibration. Proctor explained this is like trying to change a television program by hitting the screen. The program originates from the frequency the TV is tuned to, not from the screen itself. Similarly, life circumstances originate from vibrational frequency, not from physical effort. Aligned action amplifies results, but without the proper vibration, even tremendous effort produces minimal progress. The challenge is that people often try to think positively while feeling negatively. They affirm abundance while experiencing fear. This creates mixed signals. The words say one thing, while the vibration broadcasts another. The universe responds to vibration, not words. This is why Proctor emphasized the importance of feeling. Visualization without emotional engagement has little power, because it lacks the vibrational component necessary for manifestation. Raising one's vibration requires emotional discipline. It means consciously choosing thoughts that feel good, that inspire confidence, that generate excitement and anticipation. It means spending time in gratitude for what already exists, rather than focusing on what's missing. It means visualizing desired outcomes until they feel real, until the body responds as if the goal has already been achieved. Proctor acknowledged this isn't always easy, especially when surrounded by negative circumstances. However, he insisted, it's always possible. A person can choose to focus on solutions rather than problems, possibilities rather than limitations, progress rather than setbacks. This isn't denying reality, but rather refusing to give negative circumstances the emotional energy that keeps them persisting. Understanding the law of vibration provides tremendous power and responsibility. It reveals that individuals are not victims of circumstance, but creators of experience. This can feel overwhelming initially, but ultimately, it's liberating. If vibration determines what gets attracted, then changing vibration changes everything. The power to transform life doesn't reside in external conditions, but in the ability to consciously direct thoughts and feelings toward desired frequencies. Bob Proctor distinguished clearly between abundance mentality and scarcity mentality, explaining that this distinction determines financial outcomes more than education, connections, or circumstances. Abundance mentality recognizes that the universe operates on principles of infinite supply. Resources are not fixed. They expand through creativity and value creation. Scarcity mentality sees limitation everywhere, believes resources are finite, and approaches life as a competition where someone must lose for another to win. The abundance mentality understands that wealth is created, not redistributed. When someone starts a business that solves problems and serves customers, they create value that didn't previously exist. This generates wealth for themselves, while simultaneously creating wealth for employees, suppliers, and customers. Everyone benefits. This is fundamentally different from the scarcity belief that wealth comes from taking a limited pie from others. Proctor observed that people with scarcity mentality feel threatened by others' success. They experience envy rather than inspiration when witnessing achievement. This reaction reveals their underlying belief that success is limited if someone else succeeds. Less success remains available for them. This belief creates isolation and competition rather than collaboration and mutual support. Conversely, those operating from abundance mentality celebrate others' success. They recognize that someone else's achievement doesn't diminish their own potential. In fact, being around successful people often elevates one's own success because of the vibrational and educational benefits. Abundance thinkers seek out winners and learn from them rather than resenting them. The scarcity mentality often manifests as excessive saving without investing, fear of spending money even on valuable opportunities, and constant worry about running out. While financial prudence has its place, scarcity thinking takes it to an extreme that actually repels money. The vibration of not enough attracts more experiences of not having enough. The person trying desperately to hold on to money creates the very lack they fear. Abundance mentality doesn't mean reckless spending or ignoring financial responsibility. Rather, it means trusting in one's ability to create value and generate income. It means investing in growth, education, and opportunities with confidence that the return will exceed the investment. It means circulating money rather than hoarding it, understanding that energy must flow to increase. Proctor taught that developing abundance mentality requires examining one's beliefs about money's nature and availability. Many people inherited scarcity beliefs from parents who lived through economic hardship. These beliefs made sense in that context but no longer serve the next generation. Recognizing the origin of limiting beliefs helps in releasing them without judgment. Practicing gratitude powerfully develops abundance mentality. When someone regularly acknowledges what they already have, health, relationships, opportunities, possessions, they shift focus from lack to plenty. This creates a vibration of abundance that attracts more to appreciate. Gratitude is not just a nice practice. It's a strategic tool for reprogramming consciousness. Another practice involves visualizing abundance as already present. See the bank account with desired balances. Feel the emotions of financial freedom. Imagine making purchasing decisions without anxiety. The subconscious mind cannot distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and actual events. Repeated visualization with emotion begins shifting the paradigm toward abundance. The transformation from scarcity to abundance mentality doesn't happen overnight, but every small shift creates momentum. Each time someone chooses an abundant thought over a scarce one, they strengthen new neural pathways. Each generous act, each celebration of others' wins, each moment of gratitude reinforces the new paradigm. Over time, abundance thinking becomes automatic, and life circumstances begin reflecting this internal shift in remarkable ways. Bob Proctor dedicated substantial teaching to understanding the mind's structure, believing that ignorance about mental function keeps people trapped in limitation. He explained the mind has two primary aspects: the conscious, thinking mind, and the subconscious, emotional mind. Understanding how these work together and how to direct them purposefully makes the difference between random results and intentional creation. The conscious mind is the thinking mind, responsible for reasoning, analyzing, and making decisions. It can accept or reject ideas. It has the power of choice, the most valuable power humans possess. However, the conscious mind cannot directly control behavior or results. Its role is to select thoughts and impress them upon the subconscious mind, which actually governs actions and outcomes. The subconscious mind is the emotional mind, the creative mind, the powerful mind. It accepts whatever the conscious mind impresses upon it without question or judgment. It cannot reject ideas, it simply acts upon the instructions it receives. The subconscious mind controls all bodily functions, habitual behaviors, and automatic responses. It's the connection point to infinite intelligence and universal energy. Most people never learn to use their conscious mind to direct their subconscious mind. Instead, they allow random thoughts, external influences, and past conditioning to program their subconscious. Then they wonder why life feels out of control, why they keep repeating unwanted patterns, why desired changes remain elusive. They're not consciously directing their most powerful mental faculty. Proctor emphasized that impressing ideas on the subconscious requires repetition and emotion. This is why simply reading about success principles once produces minimal results. The conscious mind understands the concept, but the subconscious, which controls behavior, remains unchanged. Transformation requires repeatedly exposing oneself to empowering ideas until they sink from conscious awareness into subconscious acceptance. This is also why negative experiences can create instant change, while positive affirmations often seem ineffective. Trauma carries intense emotion, which immediately imprints the subconscious. Affirmations spoken without feeling lack the emotional component necessary for subconscious programming. Understanding this explains why changing paradigms requires emotionally engaged visualization and repetition. The body serves as an instrument of the mind, specifically the subconscious mind. When the subconscious accepts an idea as true, it directs the body to act in accordance with that truth. Someone who subconsciously believes they're unsuccessful will unconsciously behave in ways that produce failure, regardless of conscious intentions. The body follows subconscious programming with remarkable precision. This reveals why willpower alone rarely produces lasting change. Willpower operates through the conscious mind, but behavior originates from the subconscious. Fighting against subconscious programming through sheer willpower is exhausting and ultimately unsuccessful. True change comes from reprogramming the subconscious so that automatic behaviors align with conscious desires. Proctor taught specific techniques for consciously directing the subconscious mind. Visualization with emotional involvement creates mental images that the subconscious accepts as instructions. Writing goals repeatedly impresses them on the subconscious through repetition. Speaking affirmations with conviction and feeling programs new beliefs. Reading success literature daily maintains focus on empowering ideas. Understanding mind structure provides the foundation for all other success principles. Without this knowledge, people attempt to change results without changing causes, modify behaviors without addressing underlying programming, or achieve goals while maintaining contradictory beliefs. Once someone grasps how the conscious and subconscious minds interact and learns to direct this interaction purposefully, they possess the master key to creating any desired outcome. Among Bob Proctor's teachings, the vacuum law of prosperity stands as one of the most practical and immediately applicable principles. This law states that nature abhors a vacuum and rushes to fill empty spaces. In terms of prosperity, creating space in one's life allows new opportunities, resources, and abundance to flow in. Conversely, cluttered, full conditions prevent new good from entering. This principle operates on multiple levels: physical, mental, and circumstantial. On the physical level, it means clearing out possessions that no longer serve a purpose. Many people hold on to clothing they don't wear, equipment they don't use, and items they don't need simply because letting go feels difficult. This attachment to the old prevents the new from arriving. Proctor observed that people living in cluttered environments often experience cluttered finances and cluttered thinking. The external environment reflects and reinforces internal conditions, creating physical order and space signals to the universe readiness for new abundance. It also creates a psychological shift. Letting go of the old requires faith that something better is coming, and this faith itself attracts improvement. On the mental level, the vacuum law relates to releasing limiting beliefs, outdated self-concepts, and negative thought patterns. The mind cluttered with worry, doubt, and fear has no space for inspiration, creativity, and confident action. Clearing mental space means deliberately choosing which thoughts to entertain and which to release. It means creating room for new ideas to emerge. Many people fill every moment with noise, distraction, and busyness, never allowing silence or stillness. Yet inspiration and intuition arise in quiet moments. Meditation, reflection, and solitude create mental vacuums that universal intelligence rushes to fill with insights, solutions, and guidance. The constantly busy mind drowns out these subtle messages. On the circumstantial level, the vacuum law suggests that staying in unsatisfying situations too long prevents better opportunities from appearing. Someone remaining in a job they've outgrown year after year may not encounter the perfect new position because they haven't created space for it. Sometimes leaving what's no longer working opens the door for what's meant to come next. This doesn't mean quitting jobs recklessly or abandoning responsibilities. Rather, it means being willing to release situations that clearly no longer serve growth. When the timing is appropriate, it means trusting that creating space for something better attracts something better. Fear of letting go keeps people trapped in mediocrity, clutching what they have even when it's insufficient. Proctor taught that applying the vacuum law requires faith and courage. It's counterintuitive to give away possessions when feeling lack, to invest money when the bank account seems low, or to leave secure situations when the future feels uncertain. Yet this is precisely when creating vacuum demonstrates commitment to abundance principles. The practice can start small. Clean out a closet, donate items in good condition, create physical space, and observe what arrives to fill it. Give time to worthy causes, and notice how this creates space for more meaningful experiences. Invest in education or opportunity and witness returns. Each application builds evidence that the law works, strengthening faith for larger applications. Understanding the vacuum law transforms one's relationship with letting go. Instead of loss, release becomes strategy. Instead of attachment, holding lightly becomes wisdom. Proctor recognized that people who freely circulate possessions, time, knowledge always have more flowing to them. Those who clutch and hoard discover that stagnant energy attracts more stagnation. Creating vacuum creates flow, and flow is the essence of abundance. Bob Proctor addressed risk in ways that challenge conventional thinking. Most people see risk as something to avoid, minimize, or tolerate reluctantly when pursuing goals. Proctor reframed risk completely, revealing that the perception of risk often differs dramatically from actual risk, and that avoiding risk actually creates the greatest danger of all the certainty of an unfulfilled life. The first key insight is that comfort zones feel safe, but rarely are. Staying in a mediocre job might feel less risky than starting a business, but it carries the risk of wasted potential, gradual soul death, and financial limitation. Avoiding confrontation in a deteriorating relationship might feel less risky than honest communication, but it risks years of unhappiness. The safe choice often carries enormous hidden costs. Proctor distinguished between reckless gambling and calculated risk. Gambling involves betting on outcomes beyond one's control, with little understanding of probabilities. Calculated risk involves studying principles, preparing thoroughly, and taking action despite uncertainty about specific outcomes, while maintaining confidence in one's ability to handle whatever arises. The first is foolish. The second is how all progress happens. Most significant achievements throughout history required people to risk reputation, resources, and security. Entrepreneurs risk capital to start businesses. Artists risk rejection to share their work. Innovators risk failure to pursue visions. Every advancement began with someone willing to move beyond guaranteed safety into uncertain territory. Those who achieved greatly understood that refusing to risk guarantees missing opportunities worth having. The perception of risk is highly subjective and paradigm dependent. Someone with a poverty paradigm sees investing in business, education as risky. They might waste money and get no return. Someone with a wealth paradigm sees not investing in education as risky. They're guaranteed to remain ignorant and limited. Same action, completely different risk assessments based on underlying beliefs. Proctor taught that expanding comfort zones systematically reduces perceived risk over time. The first time someone speaks publicly, asks for a raise, or makes a significant investment, it feels terrifying. The 10th time feels much more manageable. The 100th time feels almost routine. What changed wasn't the objective risk, but the person's familiarity and competence. Growth comes from repeatedly doing what feels uncomfortable until it becomes comfortable. Another critical insight is that waiting for certainty before taking action guarantees inaction. Certainty rarely exists. In meaningful pursuits, those who wait for guaranteed outcomes before proceeding never proceed. Meanwhile, successful people gather adequate information, trust their judgment, and act despite uncertainty. They understand that competence develops through experience, not through endless preparation and planning. Proctor acknowledged that people fear failure, judgment, and loss. These fears are legitimate, but shouldn't be controlling. The question isn't whether fear exists, but whether one acts despite it. Courage isn't absence of fear. It's action in the presence of fear. Every successful person faced the same fears and chose to move forward anyway, discovering that most feared outcomes never materialize and that even failures provide valuable lessons. Reframing failure as feedback eliminates much of risk's emotional charge. If a business attempt doesn't succeed, that's data for the next attempt, not evidence of personal inadequacy. If an investment loses money, that's education for future investment decisions. When failure becomes information rather than identity, taking risks becomes much easier. The only true failure is refusing to try. Proctor's ultimate message about risk is that the greatest risk is risking nothing. Playing it safe guarantees safety, safe from growth, from achievement, from discovering one's potential. Those who risk wisely and persistently create lives of meaning and abundance. Those who avoid risk create lives of quiet limitation. Understanding this transforms risk from something to fear into something to embrace strategically and courageously. Bob Proctor's teachings about money fundamentally challenge how most people relate to finances. He insisted that money itself is neutral. It's simply a medium of exchange, a tool, a form of energy. The meaning, morality, and power attributed to money exist entirely in human consciousness. This means that transforming one's financial reality begins with transforming one's consciousness about money. Many people carry contradictory beliefs about money that sabotage prosperity. They want money while believing wealthy people are greedy. They seek abundance while thinking money is the root of evil. They desire financial freedom while feeling guilty about having more than others. These contradictions create internal conflict that prevents accumulation. The conscious mind wants wealth, while the subconscious mind rejects it. Proctor emphasized the importance of understanding money's true function. Money represents value exchange. When someone provides valuable services or products, they deserve compensation proportional to the value delivered. There's nothing greedy, evil, or wrong about this exchange. In fact, it's the foundation of functioning economies and civilizations. Feeling guilty about receiving fair payment for genuine value is destructive and illogical. The poverty consciousness sees money as scarce and difficult to obtain. It believes earning requires hard labor, sacrifice, and struggle. This belief creates experiences that confirm that money does become hard to acquire because the consciousness attracts struggle. The prosperity consciousness sees money as abundant and available. It believes earning can be enjoyable and that value creation naturally attracts financial reward. This belief also proves itself correct through manifestation. Many people were raised with negative money programming. Perhaps they heard that money doesn't grow on trees, that rich people are lucky or corrupt, that wanting money is shallow, or that their family never had money and never would. These messages, repeated throughout childhood, created paradigms of limitation. Awareness of these programs is the first step toward changing them. Proctor taught that developing prosperity consciousness requires studying wealth creation, surrounding oneself with prosperity-minded people, and consistently impressing the subconscious mind with images and feelings of abundance. It means reading about successful people, understanding how they created value, and recognizing that their achievements prove what's possible rather than creating resentment or envy. An important practice is treating current money with respect, regardless of the amount. Someone who disrespects small amounts by spending carelessly or tracking poorly signals to the universe that they're not ready for larger amounts. Grateful, responsible stewardship of whatever exists attracts more to steward. This isn't about being cheap or fearful, but about honoring money as a useful tool deserving care. The relationship between giving and receiving is crucial in money consciousness. Many people want to receive, but resist giving, creating energetic constipation. Others give compulsively while feeling unworthy of receiving, creating imbalance in the opposite direction. Healthy money consciousness includes both generous giving and gracious receiving. Money must flow in both directions to increase. Proctor explained that money is attracted to people who have valuable skills and who confidently offer those skills in service of others. This is why developing expertise matters more than chasing opportunities. Someone who becomes exceptionally valuable in their field never struggles financially because people eagerly pay for genuine value. The focus shifts from how do I get money to how do I provide value. And this shift changes everything. Ultimately, money consciousness is about recognizing that financial results are effects, not causes. Trying to change bank balances without changing consciousness is like trying to change a reflection without changing what's being reflected. The consciousness creates the results. When someone transforms their internal relationship with money, releasing guilt, embracing worthiness, understanding value exchange, and maintaining abundance vibration there, external financial reality must shift to match. This is law, as reliable as gravity. Bob Proctor's message that you are born rich represents far more than motivational speaking or positive thinking. It's an invitation to recognize the truth about human potential, to understand the laws governing prosperity, and to claim the abundance that is every person's birthright. The principles he taught aren't new, they're ancient wisdom that successful people throughout history have discovered and applied. What Proctor provided was clarity, structure, and persistent teaching that made these principles accessible to anyone willing to study and apply them. His legacy continues through the countless lives transformed by understanding that wealth consciousness precedes material wealth, that the mind's faculties represent unlimited creative power, and that shifting from paradigms of limitation to paradigms of possibility changes everything. The greatest tragedy isn't lacking money, but living an entire lifetime, never discovering the magnificent potential residing within. Every person truly was born rich in capability, rich in creative power, rich in connection to infinite intelligence. The path from limitation to abundance requires commitment, study, and practice. It means questioning inherited beliefs, releasing comfortable mediocrity, and courageously applying principles that may initially seem strange or difficult. It means becoming comfortable with discomfort as growth occurs. It means maintaining faith during the interval between planting seeds and harvesting results. Those who persist discover something remarkable. The principles work with mathematical precision. Change thinking truly does change results. Raise vibration genuinely attracts different circumstances. Prosperity consciousness reliably manifests as prosperity. This isn't magic or Lukit's law. Bob Proctor dedicated his life to awakening people to their potential because he knew what difference this awakening makes. He witnessed countless transformations, people moving from poverty to wealth, from depression to joy, from limitation to freedom. He understood that when someone recognizes they were born rich and begins living from that awareness, they don't just change their own life, they impact everyone they touch. Prosperity consciousness spreads through example, through teaching, through the elevated vibration of those who embody it. The invitation remains open to every person. Recognize the wealth within. Apply the principles consistently, and watch as external reality reorganizes itself to reflect internal transformation. You were born rich. The question is whether you'll claim your inheritance.